A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint, dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faith. It is these you ought to have practiced without neglecting the others. You blind guides, you strain at a gnat but swallow a camel. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you clean the outside of the cup and of the plate, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup, so that the outside also may become clean." Last month, with great joy, we reopened the cathedral to public worship. After a 4-month gap, we began to celebrate the Eucharist again. And of course, we had extensive conversations about exactly the protocols that we would need to follow, exactly how we would be cleaning the cup and the plate, exactly how we would attempt to celebrate the Eucharist and do so safely. And just as we were doing that, I read a fascinating article by a liturgical scholar who had taken a kind of theological offence about all that was being talked about in the context of the Eucharist and safety. "We need to remember," she said, "the Eucharist is not safe. It is never safe, because it is an encounter with God. It is a very particular, very special and very intimate encounter with God. All prayer is an encounter with God, and that means that all prayerful things can be dangerous, because God's impact on our lives should take us to dangerous places." Those of you who know the Chronicles of Narnia may well remember the conversation that happens at one point about the great lion Aslan. When asked if he is safe, the notion is dismissed. Of course he's not safe, but we are told he is something far more important. He is good. We hear Jesus rebuking the Pharisees. We're in chapter 23 of Matthew, and Jesus really is worked up to an astonishing degree of rage. Rage about how people striving ostensibly to be very religious can get it so incredibly wrong. This is, I think, the most powerful invective in the entire Gospels, and it's aimed at people who should know better. "Don't clean the outside of the cup," he says, "when the inside, your conscience, the way you behave, is so appalling. Don't bother about tithing portions of herbs and yet ignoring God's call to justice, to mercy and to faith." We are able now slowly, but I hope increasingly surely, to enjoy public worship. But whether for you worship at the moment is still only over the internet or in person, let's make sure, all of us, that when we come to encounter the living God, whether in the bread of the Eucharist or in our own prayer lives or in any other way, let's make sure that we are not neglecting the call of justice, of mercy and faith. Let's make sure we are living the kind of lives that would make God rejoice rather than have God despair. Amen.